Modani Lifanecha, 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 Modani lifanecha 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 modani lifanecha. Once more. Modani lifanecha 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 modani lifanecha.
Boker Tov, everyone. Thank you, Jody, for welcoming us in and helping us be present in the moment of us being together today, this morning. I could do that for like an hour and then be fully present. But welcome, everyone. It's been quite a week. Thank God we have this program to sandwich the week. You know, we entered the week with one slice of bread and we have the other slice of bread a week later, and we can process together this incredible journey that we're on. Um, and our whole intention here is really to cultivate our own strength, our own resilience, our own sense of our prophetic selves by doing these practices and meditations. And we're using that book by Rami Shapiro, An Interpretation of the Prophets. So this week is focusing on, I put the participants package up in the chat there. I think it's From Injustice. And then next week will be To Justice. It sort of feels like we're in transition from injustice to some form of justice. So I'm going to turn it over to Steve and he'll share some intentions intentions from the reading.
Yeah, clearly moving from injustice. Good morning, everybody. It's really wonderful this day after President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris being elected and announced yesterday, and for us to sit this morning together and really ground ourselves in what this new future, this new possibility looks like. And so just a couple of reflections on the prophets who clearly were aware of how leadership gets corrupted and how leadership can divide and conquer. I mean, that was really what we've been dealing with. And we could call that injustice. So as we move from injustice, we are moving from a leadership team that we've experienced the last 4 years, that we've experienced with cronyism and favors and what I could call a cesspool of corruption, crime, and lies in governing our nation, moving from injustice, moving from those behaviors. And the prophets have a few suggestions for us. Jeremiah in particular says, from the least to the greatest, greed rules. Priests and prophets alike act falsely. You make light of the violence around you, crying, peace, peace, when there is no peace. You act shamefully and yet feel no shame. Your cheeks never blush. Consider the many roads before you. Inquire about the timeless path, the way to happiness. Travel this road and find tranquility for yourself. But you say, I will not. Consider the many roads before you. Inquire about the timeless path, the way to happiness. Travel this road. Find tranquility for yourself. But you say, I will not. So why do you say I will not? By asking how it is you are not ashamed of your life that allows you to live so accustomed to denial and lies that you cannot even fathom the truth of the people's challenge. How have you excused your mistakes, covered up your indiscretions, hidden your hunger, and made yourself presentable to those you love and to those you use? These are hard questions to ask and harder still to answer if you dare. What Rabbi Rami Shapiro is challenging us to consider are two aspects of ourselves and why we live with injustice around us. The first is we get accustomed to denying our own role and responsibility. And in our denial, because of our own poor thoughts of ourselves, we stay ensconced in negative self-debasement. We are unable to rise up and take on the work that is needed right now. The second aspect presented is our own shameless behavior. We act shamelessly because it is easier to stay disconnected from humanity. It is easier to stay disconnected from humanity than to share any responsibility for the misfortune we see on the planet. We sip our wine and we sit back with a smugness that suggests, I got it all, I made it, while the planet literally burns. One anecdote is to say, why do you make this so complicated? Why do you imagine that is so much more difficult than it already is? Why do you rob yourself of happiness and peace? And why are you more prone to answering these questions than just turning right now to their resolution? And I'll leave you with Jeremiah, who says, you commit two errors. First, you forsake me, the source of living waters. Second, you dig for yourselves broken cisterns that cannot hold water. Paul?
Oh, wow. Nice, light inquiry we're on this morning. The first chant really builds on that. I don't think we could have planned it better, Steve. It's a chant called Dark and Beautiful. Shwara ani ve'ana benot Yerushalayim. It's from the Song of Songs, chapter 1, verse 5. And this chant is a deep chant. I just learned it a couple weeks ago, and Shefa, I've been practicing it very intensively. She teaches about it as a practice of what I call shame busting, and whatever shame that we might have from our, within us, including our, shame about not doing more to deal with racial injustice or the climate or the environment, or any regrets that we have about our past, all those kind of negative mind states that hold us back from our glory and from our vulnerability. So this chant is about, removing those layers of shame so that we can be in our glory and our grace. We live in a world that turns the dark skin into a humiliation. So this is like a metaphor for the racial reckoning we're in. And through love and dignity, we can overcome that mistreatment, heal the wounds that have been inflicted by oppression, and step into our unique beauty and power. And so the words of Benot Yerushalayim are really to proclaim the glory into the world, who, as the daughters of Jerusalem, who witness us with love and reflect back to us our truth. So shame busting is a lifelong journey for me anyway. And, but this chant really can go really deep. So Jody, over to you.
Shora ani venava, Shora ani venava, Shora ani venava, Benot Yerushalayim. Shorani, Venavani, Shorani, Venava, Shorani, Venavani, Shorani, Venava, Shorani, Venava, Shorani, Venava, Shorani, Venava, Barod Yerushalayim. Shorani, Venavani, Venavani, Venava, Shorani, Venavani, Shorani, Venava, Shorani, Venava, Shorani, Venava, Shorani, Venava, Banod Yerushalayim. Shorani, Venavani, Shorani, Venava, Shorani, Venavani, Shorani, Venava, Shorani, Venava, Shorani, Venava, Shorani, Venava, Benot Yerushalayim. Shorani, Venavani, Shorani, Venava, Shorani, Venavani, Shorani, Venava, Shorani, Venava, Shorani, Venava, Shorani, Venava, Benot Yerushalayim. Shorani, Venavani, Shorani, Venava, Shorani, Venavani, Shorani, Venava. Once more. Shorani, Venava, Shorani, Venava, Shorani Vinava Benot Yerushalayim. Shorani Vinavani Shorani Vinava Shorani Vinavani Shorani Vinava.
Let's sit for a minute and absorb that unraveling of all the layers of shame and emerging with glory and grace from those shackles. As we come back for a moment, I just want to invite everyone to take a look around the Zoom room, because as we're going through this process of facing these challenges as the prophets have put before our feet, and using this chant for transformation, we're in this not alone, but we're in this together, with our beloved family, with our friends, and with our chant circle. So it's just really important that we're creating this energy together, and we're doing this together. We're not alone in this quest to be our highest selves. And our next chant here is building on that space that we've entered. It's called Tell Me, Hagida Li. And it's about Hagida Li She'ahava Nafshi. So tell me, my only love. And Ahava, everyone knows, is love. And this also comes from the Song of Songs, just 2 verses later. And this chant is really about kind of building the conversation and the connection with whatever you call it, the beloved, the divine presence. I call it the love force, God, the one, whatever words you use, to be in relationship with that force, and to give and receive in a relationship. So your presence, and receive guidance and receive intimacy in turning ourselves towards that great mystery. So we have these stirrings of our heart, or through the portents of and the wonders of this world, the portents meaning these kind of major challenges and major transformations. And then we have the opportunity to listen and open our inner mind, inner self, and follow the signs and glimpses and the messages that we are given from that relationship with love or the divine presence, and trusting that, and having faith in that, and building that connection through intimacy. Over to you, Jody.
Hagidali Sheheva Nafshi 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 Hagidali Sheheva Nafshi. Once more. Hagidali Sheheva Nafshi Hagidali Sheheva Nafshi Hagidali Sheheva Nafshi Hagidali Sheheva Nafshi.
So let's just continue deep breathing. So we allow the the essence of these chants to seep through, shame busting and creating this intimacy and presence with God around us, in front of us. As we're breathing deeply, allow your body to become tall. Really feel the strength of your core and the base of your spine, solid on your chair. Feel the balls of your feet firmly planted on the ground. The energy of the earth coming up through the balls of your feet. Allow the crown of your head to just be pulled by an imaginary thread up to the sky. And your shoulders drop back into your hip pockets. And maybe your palms open or folded on your lap, open. And just breathe deeply. And feel the glory of the moment. And if we bring our hands up above our heads and we hold a ball of frequency in our hands, and we feel that just sitting above our crown, above our crown chakras, above our keter. And imagine that in this frequency of light and energy, there's this beautiful lotus blossom that's sitting with 720 million beautiful leaves opening, 720 million waves of consciousness directing, healing, providing. And in the middle of these beautiful lotus flowers of blue light shimmering is a little blue kernel, pure light, sitting in the center of our head, moving down our crown, moving down through our cheeks, through the central nervous system and our brain, through Chokhmah, our wisdom, and Bina, our deep understanding, into Da'at, our voice, our regulator. And we imagine that we have this fully alive, fully strengthened, energetic pattern of light flowing from the crown of the head down to the base of the spine. And we drop down into the base of the spine and our hands back on our lap. And we just breathe and we allow the energy of these lotus blossoms, of this blue energetic light, to just drop down into the base of our spine. And just feel in the palm of our hands, we're holding this frequency, this aliveness, this beauty. And we offer gratitude to our parents, our ancestors, and our teachers. All forms of God, all helping us right now along our paths. They are present. There's only now. They are there holding us as we are holding each other right now. Whatever sorrows, whatever illness, whatever suffering exists amongst us, we hold that. We are present to it for each other. So we also offer gratitude for having and believing what our true calling is, what our true dharma is, what our true purpose and mission is, what blueprint lights up who we are. And we offer gratitude for that fulfillment now and what's coming. And we rise up to our heart center, where a blue light and the lotus blossoms also sit, where this kernel of pure light sits, emanating and reaching to each other, emanating and reaching to our parents, to our ancestors, to our teachers, sending light to them and them sending light back to us, this ongoing exchange of information, intelligence, of frequencies. Shame busting any remnants that creep up into our minds throughout the day. Just eliminating and disappearing those demons, those gremlins. So just feel this beam of light from hand to hand, going across our right shoulder to our left shoulders. And on our right shoulder, our right area of our body, upper body, we feel it's where we hold justice. It's where we hold strength. It's where we hold power. It's also where we hold injustice and tyranny, dictatorships. So we're mindful of this power and we sit with awareness of how this is so subtle and so appears out of nowhere. But we balance this with our left shoulder, the left side of our upper body, with chesed, with compassion, with mercy. And when our call for truth, when our call for justice is tempered by calls for compassion, we find balance in our heart center. We find beauty in our heart center when that perfect balance is achieved. So we just experience this pyramid, if you will, of light and blue light and energy from our throat, creating a perfect pyramid with our shoulders and our heart. We just stay in our heart center and we repeat shalom quietly to ourselves. So with everyone's eyes remaining closed, I'll just read from Ezekiel. You say the way of God is unfair, but it isn't my way that is unfair, but yours. My way is clear. Act and be acted upon in kind. When you turn away from righteousness and do evil, you shall die for it. You shall own evil. Your own evil shall kill you. When you turn your back on evil and do what is just and right, your turning shall save you. So do not claim my way is unfair. I judge you according to your deeds. Return to goodness and turn away from evil. Do not dwell upon past error, or let guilt become a stumbling block for you. Cast the past aside and make yourself a new heart and a new spirit. Why die from old errors? I do not desire death. Turn back and live. Ezekiel 18:25 to 32. Jody?
Hagidali sheheva nafshi. 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 Hagidali Sheheva nafshi Hagidali, Sheheva nafshi Hagidali, Sheheva nafshi Hagidali, Sheheva nafshi. Once more. Hagidali, Sheheva nafshi. Hagidali, Sheheva nafshi. Hagidali, Sheheva nafshi. Hagidali, Sheheva nafshi.
Ooh, wow. I'm in a altered state of shalom. And we have a few minutes for sharing and connecting and processing any experiences from your chant practice or from the chants or the meditation we did today. Anything that anyone wants to share, really.
Phil?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Phil, go ahead.
Thanks. I was reflecting when Steve was sharing at the beginning, talking about shame. I kept on thinking about the, not the Black Lives Matter movement per se, but the whole systemic racism issue that we're now perhaps maybe for the first time ever going to be in a position to deal with a president who recognizes that this is a problem, and how I think it was Sid at maybe a high holiday service said, we drew the distinction between very few of us are guilty, but we are all responsible. And I do feel this sense of responsibility that we as white people need to take on this mantle of how are we going to help really dismantle this systemic racism that we have allowed to be here in our civilization, in our country, and really in the whole world, and in our country for the last 400 years. So it just brought that home. I kept on thinking about that, getting rid of the guilt and the shame, and being able to focus on how can we be more constructive at making it a more fair, more just society for all of us, especially African Americans who have been so systemically mistreated over the 400 years of our history.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thanks, Phil. I mean, I have the same sense that we're in this kind of moment of opportunity to have a more authentic, deeper, kind of racial reckoning under Biden-Harris. And yet what you said is so true. It's each of us taking whatever action we can take. I was just watching this morning Dave Chappelle on Saturday Night Live last night, really a scathing comic. It was really kind of intense, but he was like, random acts of kindness to Black people, for no reason, just because like they were abused for so long for no reason. One
other thing I just want to add to that, and that is that the possibility of this love and energy and connectivity being released as a consequence and as a byproduct almost of doing the right thing and restoring the sense of justice and commonality and humanity, I think is very palpable to me. I think it's something that's been suppressed for many, many years, that if we can reach that point where we experience that sense of connectedness, it's going to be really magnificent. And so I just want to hold out that possibility that doing this work is not just the right thing to do, but there's huge, huge benefits for us as a country, as a planet, if we do it.
Amen.
Anna L.
Good morning. Thank you for a great way to begin the day. I'm outside and I see above me the moon, and it's exactly half lit and half dark. And as I'm looking at the moon, first I see two black birds fly around. We're doing some more chanting, and the next thing I see this eagle soaring. And then after that, just as we were finishing, all of the birds going in circles, and the circles were going higher and higher. And it was real, and it just seems so palpable as a metaphor for how we can lift our consciousness and get to a different level each time along the spiral of ascending consciousness. So with that, prayers for love and peace. DeBarchi.
Shmati. Beautiful.
Well, first of all, it's been a heck of a week, but with a wonderful ending for what half of us think is a wonderful ending. I guess some half don't think it's such a great ending. And that's one of the problems. But I don't think we're even ready to get to that higher plane yet. I still feel like I'm in shock and coming out of a nightmare. And that I can't even believe it at this point. And I'm just finding that, thank God, thank you all so much for this meditation, because it gave me a chance to just chill and think and relax. I think we need to develop a Yiddish phrase. We have a mishpaka here, but what is our meditation mishpaka? There must be some good Yiddish phrase for that. But it really helps so much. And sure, as you know, I've been working on so much of the criminal justice stuff with African Americans, and that's just a microcosm of what we're doing in our society. And we realize that, based on the editorials I've been reading and so on, that half the country still thinks that Trumpism isn't so bad. They don't like Trump, but they like Trumpism, and and they haven't really accepted the idea. I have neighbors right here, and my companion Susan and I have neighbors right here in Virginia who don't think there's any racism. They say this all the time to us, and so we have at the heart of I'm thinking of the Dale Carnegie training and saying that communication is a number one, and we probably misunderstand what we say to each other 95% of the time. And so we really need to figure out ways to communicate to folks in a way that's meaningful to them. And we bleeding heart liberals have to figure out a way to communicate inner meaning. And I love what you said, Steve, about the prophets, that if you create empty, broken vessels, they will not hold water, and we need to build those vessels. So thank you, everybody. And I have so much to be grateful for at this point, including this group. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Sweet. Okay, Larry.
Yeah, thank you, John. I think that for me, the hugest imperative is listening. That's all I need to say. DeBarchi.
Shamati.
I used to think that moving sort of the notion of injustice, or what the darkness that surrounds and what the darkness that's surrounded us for the last 4 years. Everything happens for a reason, and Trumpism and Trump happened for a reason, and yes, it all existed before Trump, and it all resonated with him and got brought to the surface, and that was also all meant to be for us to learn and grow from. And I hope and I pray, and my prayer for this morning and for what we're doing and the work. I call it a satsang, or we call makom, a group coming together to chant and meditate together, is we're much more powerful than any one of us, number one. And number two, we are creating this turn, because that's what the prophets are saying. Let's make the turn. So by showing up this morning, we are already stepping in and turning. And part of this turn is, and what I'm hearing is listening to the other 50%, which is also listening within, because we're all divided also internally. So I think as much coherence as we could create within ourselves and within our own bodies, within our family, within our community, and then we have to just figure out how do we take that to the world. It's not just the US. You know, this is the planet, and is divided like this. Israel is divided like this. France is divided like this. And so the unification does come from what Larry is saying. It's deep, deep listening and understanding and reframing and resonance with what's being said, and healing that's coming from there. Even when the other doesn't want to get it, even when the other doesn't think there's racism, even when they don't want to come to the table, we would just have to keep holding them in light and prayers and holding ourselves. To Bharti.
Shamati. So it's 11. I just want to, if people have to go, please feel free to go, but we can continue on for a few minutes. But if someone has to go, feel free to just sign off. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Jody.
I wanted to say thank you all for coming and being here, and allowing me the opportunity to learn these amazing chants. I mean, these two melodies, when I first heard them, I'm like, Paul, are you serious? And then as it really takes listening, like listening to the pitches, listening to the cadence, listening to the meaning, all of it. And I just keep listening until it becomes one with me. And it's such a wonderful process. I just, it's kind of like giving birth. Like, so it's just a thrill. So thank you for the opportunity for letting me give this to you.